you know how we stunt. It is what it is, lab it up, bring it so uncut. And when you leave, you saying that's what's up. Get in trouble tonight. Better watch what you scream up here, cause I'm the type that'll scream back. I don't know what you think this is, but I ain't got a problem with that. I give it to you real straight up. I give it to you blunt uncut. Know that I'm gonna get in trouble. You know it is what it is with me. Know what you came to see. You want it raw and you want LG. Get and you know what's up. I gotta tell the truth cause I don't give. I'm gonna get in trouble. You know I give it to you blunt from the ATL. You know how we stunt. It is what it is. Lab it up, bring it so uncut. And when you leave, you saying that's what's up. Get in trouble tonight.
What's up, people? All right, so this is my inaugural episode of my podcast. Humans are trash. So let me tell you what this podcast is about. It is simply about the hypocrisy of humanity. How we are, we a lot of us, we want these rules in place, we want these standards, but in reality, we want them to apply to everybody except for us. And that's what we're going to talk about every episode. We'll pick a topic or whatever, but today we're just going to lay the foundation of what hypocrisy looks like. You know, a lot of y'all think you are things that you're not. A lot of y'all have beliefs that are rooted in your feelings. It ain't rooted in nothing else. And those are the things we're going to conversate about. And the reality is, some of you, it does not matter what information you get. It does not matter what I say to you. Does not matter what anybody else says to you. You are still going to think and believe what you think and believe. And that is one of the cornerstones of hypocrisy. You're a hypocrite because you just want to believe what you want to believe, regardless of what facts you have been given, regardless of whatever you believe has been disproven, regardless of the fact that the way you thinking has led to death and destruction. Some of y'all don't care. You just want to believe and think what you want to think and believe. And the beauty of this planet is you have a right to do that. But that's also the downside of this planet, is the fact that you have a right to be trash and not be held accountable for being trash in a lot of circumstances and cases. And that is what we're going to talk about today. Hit me up, follow the podcast, subscribe, all that good little stuff. And let me know how you feel in the comments. And I get it. So now what are we talking about when we talk about trash? I'm gonna give you an example of how humans are trash and how the hypocrisy of humanity. And so be clear, this is not an American thing. It's not a Asian thing. This is not a Africa thing. It is not a European thing. It is a human thing. Humans are hypocritical. We just are. And I think I know why, but we are just hypocritical. I'll give you an example. There isn't a person on this planet that cannot see that we as a species are using up and trashing this planet. It's not you don't have to be conservative. You don't have to be whatever you are to see that humans create a boatload of trash and we use a whole bunch of resources on this planet. And the reality is that at some point in time, the trash that we create is going to outpace and outnumber the people. But if you say something to people about that, there are actually people who will argue against that. They will argue against cutting down on the amount of trash that we are producing. They will argue against limiting the number of resources that we use. It just makes no sense. You argue against your best interests because at some point in time, the rubber got to meet the road. At some point in time, we got to pay the piper for this, but they don't care. because it ain't their problem. That's the selfishness of it. Again, another trait that makes humans trash. Just the selfishness of it all. Like in America, because this is the internet, so and this goes out to everybody and people outside of just the United States. But let me show you some hypocrisy of Americans. We talk about so many Americans love to talk about how the system is broke, or how the system is geared to do this, or the system is geared to do that. But the reality is the American system is built upon the people. The people are the system. The population is the system. So whatever the system is, it is reflective of the people that are here. So if the system is trash, then you trash. We trash. That's how the system is set up. And then a lot of people complain about this system. You're not even doing your part. And that's one of the biggest reasons why the system is trash. It's because you're not doing your part. You complain about government. A lot of you ain't never been to a city council meeting. You don't even know who your local officials are. You don't care about none of that. You know when you care about it is when it affects you. That's when they started. That's the hypocrisy of it all. It's not important until it's important to you. That's hypocritical. You don't care about the schools. People who don't have kids don't care about the schools, even though you should, because an uneducated child at some point in time becomes an uneducated adult who at some point in time becomes an uneducated member of society. And as long as you're a member of society, you have to deal with said uneducated individual. So a horrible school system affects you too, whether you have kids or you don't. So you should care about kids getting an education, but people don't. Because people who want to have kids, they don't care. Well, I care. I ain't got kids. You should. Because when that uneducated child puts that thing in your face in the middle of the night because he or she's life has not turned out the way they wanted to be because they are poorly educated, that's when your decisions and your trashness come back to meet you and the rubber meet the road. That's when it happens. When you do that, you cannot not care. And I think that's another reason why we have become even more. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to make this seem like humans just became trash, because we didn't. We've been trash a long time, a very long time. And I know the way humans think, the way we love to do, we love to chop each other up into these little smaller groups and point to this group and say, oh, look at them, they are trash. And then we all trash. The reality is we all trash. Now, don't get me wrong. I live on this planet. So I'm not a fool and I'm not ignorant to our history and our past. White men, if there was a pecking order to being trash, you're at the top of the list. And you're at the top of the list because historically you have made it a point to be trashier than anybody else. You've made it a point to push your will on other people. You've made it a point to make sure that your wants and needs superseded other people's wants and needs. Historically, you have done that. And it does not matter what country you have been in, you have done it. It's not just America. You've done it throughout Europe. You tried to do it in Asia until countries like Japan kicked you out because your culture was permeating theirs and you were starting to eat away at their strong culture. And the emperor said, no, it ain't happening. So Japan closed itself off from the rest of the world. And the emperor said, hey, if we don't have it, can't create it or grow it, then we don't need it. Can't nobody come in and can't nobody leave. You have historically done that. And again, that's not to say that other cultures don't haven't had their issues and aren't trash, because we are all, every human has trash elements to it, and there's levels to it. Don't get me wrong, because I know it's going to be people, because this is how we think. There are going to be people who watch it and say, I'm not trash. You too, because you too will be selfish when put in the right situation. You too have said, I don't care about situations that you should care about, simply for the fact that you're a human and it's happening to another human. But you don't do that. One of the biggest things that creates a huge hypocrisy gap is religion. Religion, and it's organized religion. Let me say that organized religion is one of the biggest bastions of hypocrisy on this planet. It creates more hypocrites probably than anybody else or anything else. And I'm talking about all of them. I'm not, we're not just, don't put it on Christians. The Muslims are hypocritical, Jews are hypocritical, Christians are hypocritical, Catholics are hypocritical. They're all hypocritical. Their doctrines all have stuff in it that is contrary to just being a good human, just being a good person. They all contain things that run afoul of humanity. One of the reasons why it creates hypocrisy is because there are several books, depending on what doctrine and religion you follow, of doctrine that it was created 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago. So some human traits still are the same as 5, 6,000 years ago. Yes, but the reality is we humans are not the same. 2,000 years ago, humans were not the same. They didn't behave the same. They didn't act the same. The science wasn't the same. So a books that were written thousands of years ago could not conceive the things that are happening now. It couldn't even begin to, somebody who grew up in 1000 BC couldn't fathom an airplane. They couldn't fathom the internet. It would be witchcraft to them. It would be something sent from the gods. It wouldn't be just somebody sent me a Facebook message. It wouldn't be that. But these books have been selected to run your modern life based upon principles that were in place 3,000 years ago. And the problem isn't that alone. The problem is that for a large portion of religious people, there is no wiggle room. There is no adjust for the time scenarios in your belief system. So that creates hypocrisy. When you say man is not supposed to be of the world, but you got to go out here and work every day. When your book talks about 13-year-olds getting married to grown men, but we have laws that say that is child exploitation. That is what this is about. You can't have it both ways. You can't have a book that says an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but if somebody hurts my family and I kill them and take their tooth, I go to jail. That's in direct conflict with your religious beliefs. A lot of y'all worship money, but then you in church every day. One of the 10 commandments is no false gods. But money is your God. Anytime your preacher can stand in front of his congregation with people of all economic levels and ask for $1,000 per person It's it's a it's atrocious. You have lost your mind. You know how tone insensitive that is? So now me, the devout religious person, I feel less than a Christian because I can't contribute to this $1,000 pool that you asking for. And in your head, you make it better because you say, okay, well, people who can't give 1,000, you give 500. People who can't give 500, you give you give 100, and then you go on down and on down. And you take all this money to do God's work. Then I come to you a year from now, say my mama passed away and she's been a member of this church for 20 years. Can she get buried? Yeah, for a nominal fee. What is that? I, that ain't God's work to bury my mama who been a member of your church. That ain't free. The pastor got to get a love offering to do the eulogy. Come on, y'all, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me with this. Stop playing with me with this. And again, the hypocrisy. I mean, we can go on and on how the hypocrisy manifests itself in so many different ways and in so many different areas. We can go on day after day, time after time, incident after incident. But what we're going to do throughout the podcast, we're going to highlight some of these scenarios where humans go above and beyond the call of duty to be trash. But then, and I want to be clear. We're going to talk about both sides of it. That's always the thing, too. I don't want to have these conversations in a place where it's just comfortable for me or comfortable for you or comfortable for somebody who disagrees with you. We're going to have it in a place where it's uncomfortable for everybody. We're going to bring up all aspects of it. If we talk about abortion, then we're going to talk about why abortion is a great option for some people. If you're against abortion, we're going to talk about why abortion is a horrible option. We're going to talk about both sides of it. And we gonna get to the nitty gritty. Are we gonna solve everything? Probably not, because we're humans, so we ain't never gonna always agree on nothing. But my hope is that you leave the podcast with information. And once you leave with information, one of the things I always tell my kids is when I tell them stuff and I give them information, some stuff it's what I think and how I think stuff should happen. But I can't make them, because my kids are grown, I can't make them say or do anything that I want them to do. But what I always say to them is, I'm telling you this so you can't ever say you didn't have the information. That is my goal now. So when you go out here and you do what you want to do, and it does not work out the way you want to, and the way I told you, or the advice I gave you was the best option, and you didn't take it and you did something else and it failed, then don't say, I wish I would have known. I wish somebody would have told me, because that would be a lie, because somebody did tell you. And that's why my thing is, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of y'all just walk around here aimlessly ignorant for no damn reason. I don't know why, but some of y'all just, I do know why, because ignorance is bliss. And some of y'all just like being blissfully ignorant. And there's nothing a lot of us can do about that. You've drawn these conclusions in your head about situations and about life and about this planet and about human behavior and all this stuff right here. And the reality is, it is bias. And we all have biases, without a doubt. We all do. But again, the point of the podcast is going to be to cut through those biases, to address those biases, confront those. See if your biases stand up against being questioned. They stand up against being ridiculed. Do it. Or you just stuck on being who the hell you want to be. You stuck on being ignorant. And again, you have the right to be that all you want to. Not even knocking it. And I think right now we are in a day and age in our country to where we're on our planet to well, no, I actually think this is more of an American thing. They embrace being ignorant. Being undereducated is a badge of honor for a lot of people in the United States. And I don't know why we are like that. I know why white men are like that, but I don't understand why any minority group could be that way when they use education as the gatekeeping tool. That was the gatekeeping tool. You're not educated enough. You don't have the proper certifications. That was the gatekeeping tool in America. But now that everyone has access to education, then that gatekeeper should have gone away. And since you minorities, you know that is a gatekeeping tool, all the more reason why you should get as much of it as you possibly can, so that there is no gate, or when you do get to the gate, you able to drop kick the gate wide open, because when they say, do you have, you can turn around and say, you ain't talking to me, because I got all of that. I got the certifications, I got the diplomas, I got everything you need as the minority group. You should do that. And some minority groups do it, and then some don't. But again, that's what we're going to talk about the podcast. Share it with your friends, all this good little stuff. Let them know. It'll be new episodes every Tuesday, dropping at 8 p.m. Until we get it off the ground. Don't be surprised if you see new episodes popping up more frequently than that, just to get the ball rolling. So just a FYI. So that does not mean that it may not be an episode drop tomorrow. That doesn't mean it might not be an episode drop on a Saturday or a Sunday in the beginning, just till we get it to where it needs to be and get the ball rolling. Let people know what we're doing, what we're talking about. Get you in your feelings a little bit, because people gonna be in their feelings. Believe that. There's gonna be a lot of people in their feelings about what we're doing and what we're talking about. But it's not my problem. Your feelings, them your feelings, them ain't my feelings. Until then, yo, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next episode. It's gonna be devastating. I'm just saying. Yo, don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you're watching on another platform. Follow all that good little stuff, and send this to a friend.